avant hier là, et bien côté que nous hier et mardi, et bien dans le commencement de la lutte là, t'as gagné un inspecteur qui est arrivé perdre la ville face avec affrontement qui gagné et entre groupe gang Didia qui a dirigé, n'a pas dit Didi ISO 2, et bien qui a jusqu'à présent qui a opéré au niveau 15 coffres. Eh bien, inspecteur de police qui est arrivé perdre la ville dans une circonstance vraiment tragique par rapport avec affrontement qui était entre bandits avec la police. Mais malheureusement, inspecteur de police qui parti nous année 2026 arrivé tout près, et bien presque demi, moins de 48 heures de temps, inspecteur de police a perdu la ville, et bien il a assisté pour plusieurs projectiles dans le cadre, eh bien, nous avons dit, gros tension que tu gagné dans Keskov, et jusqu'à présent, on n'a pas pitié dans Keskov, c'est coup de balle qu'a tiré, Madame Sahel.
Oui, oui, qu'est-ce qu'on fait encore au cœur de l'actualité? Là, nous connaissons quelques temps là, depuis que y a un examen envahi qu'est-ce qu'on fait et de temps en temps, il y a quelques interventions policières, force de l'audio qui a fait des opérations qui pas vraiment des opérations durables. Et à chaque fois que on fait des opérations, yo quitté les lieux. Après ça, nous tendez toujours gagner des attaques. Mais hier 30 décembre 2025 là, une nouvelle attaque qui est arrivée causer la mort d'un inspecteur. Donc nous comprenons ampleur, nous comprenons gravité situation dans Keskov et que d'après Aibo Post qui t'est sorti un article qui t'a fait connaître une raison qui fait que et toujours gagné attaque Keskov, c'est parce que c'est une zone stratégique. Si un examen t'a arrivé, il contrôle 100%, mais il y a bien contrôle toute Pétionville net. Et donc, malheureusement, nous ouais pas vraiment gagné moun qui campé pour empêcher ensemble de dérive ça jusqu'à présent, mais nous capable dire tout et contrôle 100% zone là et pour vraiment prendre à cause de temps en temps des opérations qui a fait, mais ça pas empêcher que toujours gagner moun qui mourit de temps en temps kay ka brûlé et gagner des mauvaises nouvelles qui toujours viennent joindre la population haïtienne dans cadre mais insécurité qui a valé terrain dans Keskov et là nous connaissons pas seulement Keskov, il y a plusieurs autres côtés dans pays et tant que gen moun mori ka parler en moins, il y a moun dans Semak etc. Mais nous connaissons dans moment là, c'est tout pays qui est vraiment en danger et parce que et côté ouais nèg exam yo pas arriver, c'est parce que yo pas besoin avec tout et nous gagnons non ni plan grâce avec commissaire Muscadet qui fait li capé double fait un travail qui vraiment hors pair par rapport avec quoi phénomène d'insécurité. Mais
n'a quitté dossier qui passe dans Keskov pour nous arriver dans Bel Air. Côté situation a toujours été très tendue. Dans Bel Air, la police a décidé dans fin année là pour gagner un poté bourré qui fait poté bourré dans objectif pour aller mettre stabilité, pour aller mettre sécurité, pour récupérer des territoires. Et bien dans le cadre opération ça, en pile chablin d'été ATA, et bien il y a qui t'a questionné est-ce que champ ça fait partie du champ qui à peine atterri. Et bien la police a mené opération ça avec présence task force, n'a parlé de présence drone qui était là, donné au monté gain pour petit 4 drones qui tombé dans Bel Air. Est-ce que drone ça yo ba résultat? Nous prenons interrogation, nous pas connaît, mais selon éléments information yo, et bien la police pas tout compte yo te gain mercenaire, et bien yo t'a fait connaître 10e chef gang Bel Air et bien bandi yo, et bien yo prend, et bien la police dépatcha yo drone tombé en pile bandi à joindre baron. Ça montre que fin d'année ça li te gain en pile tension dans le pays d'Haïti. Tension ça yo pas oublier dans Bel Air, c'est une côté dernier temps ça yo qui gain en pile kidnapping qui fait côté yo mené monsieur là. En pile moun parler de DG qui c'est un taureau gondé, un potomitan dans vivre ensemble, bien c'est monsieur ça que yo ti attaqué et d'après plusieurs informations, yo t'a même rivé la caillou et dans caille côté yo rivé yo la police s'en joindre en pile matériel et parmi yo t'a même gagné en pile quantité l'argent ça yo t'a venu dans cadre yon banque qui monsieur t'a cassé mais yo joindre banque ça yo prend l'argent ça yo aller avec dans base c'est ça qui gagne comme information et surtout la police continue à être mobilisée et Jean année 2025 l'an passé là yo espérer que 2026 là li pral passer puis bon li pral différent li pral capable botter fuir parce que en 2025 en pile policier perdu la vie yo en pile policier yo même kidnappé yo, malgré gen un pile opération tout qui mené, mais opération yo manqué calculé, yo manqué bien défini. Belé nous connaît c'est un côté que vivent ensemble en Paris et surtout gen Kempes qui c'était un gros chef dans vivre ensemble qui souvent ensemble avec un monsieur et c'est une bande qui âgé qui gagne dans vivre ensemble en pile on a posé question est-ce que personnage ça c'est pas un personnage qui t'a supposé là pour orienter jeunes yo ba yo conseil et permettre yo prendre droit chemin mais malheureusement Kempes il fait partie d'un groupe en vivre ensemble il c'est un membre actif nous rappelez nous dernier jour et surtout jour qui se passé yo te gagné un déblousaille qui était éclaté dans mitan monsieur yo objectif là c'était déraciner question kidnapping ça c'est cadre opération ça que la police a mené d'après plusieurs rumeurs qui confirmé une gros tour dans vivant ensemble temps tombé est-ce que c'est deuxième chef Beléa nous pas connaît mais jusqu'à présent en pile plein dans mitan monsieur et surtout pour donner dernier temps ça yo qui pas suspend à tomber drone task force et surtout gouvernement qui dirige drone yo lagi un pile drone pendant année 2025 là mais est-ce que yo ba résultat nous pas connaît mais dans Badelma dans Belé et surtout dans base monsieur yo en pile drone tomber la police semble fait gol en tout cas n'a prêté temps bilan yo pour nous connaître est-ce que vraiment il y a un pile qui tombe mais nous capable de constater que question d'une ça il y a un pile problème monsieur fait un pile plein il a pas regarder comment il capable faire diversion côté you acquise gouvernement d'ailleurs il y a un pile menace qui fait là monsieur a fait tout côté comme quoi depuis d'une tombe dans mi-temps population et surtout gain victime il y a metti dit fait il y a boulé il y a pillé et surtout il dit qu'il y a bloqué gaz tout côté et problème gaz là c'est un problème presque chaque année haïtien a confronté côté souvent gain un panne gaz mais il dit a bloqué gaz tout côté dans pays si toutefois gouvernement continue à plaguer douane ça montre clair que monsieur si gagne un bagay yo gagne gros craintif pour lui c'est pas chamblendé et pas police qui a fait tim seul mais c'est plutôt douane camin case là parce que douane ou pas ka gagne contrôler douane la venir il capable faire dégâts on rappelez nous bien qui dégâts il était fait dans base 400 maozo dans base l'amour sans jour dans jour qui se passé yo qui te mettait en pile de l'eau pour monsieur ça qui a perdu un pile gros soldat qui était très proche lui un pile bras droit lui ben ça montre que ben drone a un pile capacité ben nous capable constater tout que drone tombé dans un pile base il tombé dans base barbecue d'ailleurs nous rappeler nous tout c'était premier côté nous capable dire il était fait essai drone c'était dans bas Delma dans base barbecue côté pour gagner des informations qui était même fait connaître monsieur ça il temps perdu la vie après ça iso pral jeune et iso c'est une équipe en pile frappe dans mort sans jour et bien des monde coûte la pluie tout nèg jeune drone dans qu'est-ce qu'on c'est pas parler ben drone continue à tomber année 2025 là c'était une année côté la police fait plusieurs tentatives et même jour constat pas gain consistance pas gain volonté et surtout manquer matériel parce que plusieurs policiers ni dans Kinskoff ni dans Badelma ni dans la Tibonite yo plein de ça yo estimé gain de matériel que yo était capable besoin utiliser dans cadre opération yo parfois yo pas joindre et surtout la police reprocher autorité yo parfois avec faible moyen tout yo kon gain volonté pour mener des opérations mais l'audio pas sorti vinn joindre ça qui montre à clair que situation est vraiment compliquée. Et bien, dans Badelma, nous on a parlé là, situation très tendue.
C'est la police d'Haïti qui lui-même qui a mené une grosse opération. Et bien, au niveau de Bel Air, dans la minute que n'a pas là, et n'a gagné un peu de drone, et bien, qui au même qui l'a gagné, et bien, gagné tout, et pour Pipiti, t'es gagné, et 10 chats qui t'est monté Bel Air, et bien, actuellement là, et bien, yo coincé, et bien, nègre, et bien, craché du péo, et bien, n'a c'est gros opération qui a mené là, et bien, et Salomon, et bien, et malgré que dans cadre information yo, eh bien gen kay qui crasé, gen tout la police qui lui-même qui a avancé sérieusement, eh bien c'est ça, eh bien pour année 2025 là, eh bien c'est pour dans fin année 2025 là, il dit pour à l'entrée 2026 là, eh bien d'après un pile citoyen, c'est un premier gros coup que la police lui-même dit a fait dans fin année ça, eh bien kay crasé, zam ak l'argent saisi, eh bien c'est sous zone Bel là, et spécialement kay Gentley, eh bien en pile, eh bien bandit à plein là, eh bien gagne tout, eh bien nous pas connaître est-ce que moi parce que grand pile drone qui tombe là et Salomon.
Mais je dis là, nous avons parlé et depuis grand matin, nous entendons moun après les partis par là, il y a dit nous mon cher drone a tombé au niveau de Bel Air, dans zone Carrefour Archive, il parlé dans zone Saint-Fil, oui ce matin, et pourquoi pas dans zone et caché du fait, l'un du caché du fait, dans la zone oui pavé et pourquoi pas dans zone oui Macajou. Ça veut dire drone et fait quelqu'un au niveau des zones et Bel Air. Jimmy, nous connaissons Bel Air, ça a été représenté. L'autre dit Bel Air, c'est un quartier côté en pile général ou état-major dans la d'Haïti, c'est retenu parce que tout peut parler national. Et l'autre dit Bel Air, son zone qui était tellement belle, et Laurent les a dit, pas oublier, on va dominer par les national, et ça va être le Bel Air. Et on a dit là, du Bel Air, ça veut dire qu'on zone de résistance, côté de en pile, et bien, n'est qui te fort, qui t'a vivre là. Et bien, nous allons parler, depuis Grand Bonnet, et bien, nous capables de gagner, et la police, et bien, avec un taxe et taxe ça, yo même, non, et opération, bon, pas l'opération, on dit non, poté bourré, et du plusieurs drones tombés. Mais, information que vous jouez, nous, yo t'a même dit, gagner un boy yo bon côté pa yo qui t'a même pied à terre au niveau des fonds national qui t'a passé et des vélos passé pour ta monter au niveau des sans fil aller attaquer base James qui dans au niveau des Carrefour Archive Bonne Marinette. Et bien, nous allons parler de ça.
Dans privé, dans le dossier commissaire Muscadet, dernier temps ça yo, eh bien, nous l'a cité. Nous l'a cité comme quoi c'est potentialité moun qui capable de venir prendre pays ou bien comme président, c'est un prochain quand même candidat à la présidence. Est-ce que c'est vrai? Nous pas connaît. Dans le cadre d'une interview, commissaire Muscadet Tebaye et surtout il parler de ça. Et c'est pas la première fois qu'il parler de ça. Il fait connaître si que population choisit, eh bien li prêt, li mettre d'accord, li capable la bailler tête li pour pays. Mais li pas parler comme quoi li même volontairement, li gen intention à aller présenter candidature li à la présidence, mais moun kapli à travers les lignes yo constate que bien intention monsieur ça eh bien li pas l'autre qui garder comment il capable prendre tête pays. En pile moun quoi li gagne légitimité, li gagne capacité et surtout li prouver à travers ça que la fait dans NIP, ça que la fait dans sud là que c'est un monde population capable compter sur lui. Population prend commissaire Muscadet c'est un monde qui très respecté dans le pays ça, mais popularité l'a augmenté de jour en jour, des monde qui estimé dans ni pendant département pays ça qui c'est département sud là tout, si pas bien un gros commissaire Muscadet et bien en pile côté qui t'a perdu. Yo croyez si monsieur ça a plus pouvoir, eh bien gain en pile bagaille il capable faire et il aurait été quoi tout gain quand même nécessité yo moun te commissaire Muscadet parce que plus gros problème nous gain là c'est problème insécurité, mais si nous gagnons moun qui capable résoudre problème ça c'est déjà un gros atout, mais c'est dans ça qui fait un peu le monde parler de ça. Et bien nous va entendre yon parti et bien côté commissaire t'a parlé de c'est ça côté il fait qu'on est et bien si peuple là un choisir il prêt pour bailler tête li on a le temps ensemble
il y a ben pouvoir et peuple qui ben pouvoir peuple a choisi moun pour le voter chaque peuple a son gouvernement qu'il mérite et moun yo décide pour choisir finalement il a fini pas choisir par contre qui est décidé parce que moi même population pour bien pour servir moi là pour servir à quel que soit niveau et qu'il taille. OK, si les mêmes matériaux comme magistrat au cas me si les mêmes matériaux comme magistrat il y a pas qui vous garder c'est des matériaux les pour sénateur OK même pas plan bari les candidats pas de folie candidat, pas de folie diriger, pas de folie diriger, pas de folie sur les postes en pays. Pour son coup, c'est gouvernement après pour l'état pays, moi écoutez moi vraiment confortable. Mais si c'est mon cas fondé au pays, si c'est mon cas fait faut rentrer, faut que rentrer. Si c'est mon capable de débloquer ma faut que débloquer. Si c'est mon cas permettre population et l'ouest là, retourner la Cali, pas de boza. Voilà, il fait de gouvernement, pas de peur là-dedans, c'est à faute de dire. Division c'est liberté ou la mort. Soit nous libres ou bien mourir. Je dis à nous pas nous beaucoup monde pas droit plus d'azam, population pas qu'à vivre, la police une paraît impuissant. Et l'équipe aux abois, personne n'est pas capable de dire non. On s'en commissaire gouvernement, on ne peut pas placer pour mal en face d'État, pas placer pour mal tirer coup de balle à l'État. Il faut aider à prendre, il faut aider à prendre responsabilité pour que les chasseurs ne gagnent, ils disent non avec insécurité pour faciliter le monde dans l'Ouest, et retourner la caillou. Je dis là, dans mon cas, et Nicaragua, pour dire qu'on a que là, nous sommes surchargés, tellement de monde, il faut dire, la majorité là, des nouvelles cailloux. Et au Bénin, il y a plein de Skytol. Il fait des arguments, on va dire aussi, pour cacher pour le mettre, capter machine pour le mettre. Je dis à des actifs là. Mais imaginez vous pour aller les organes avec la mobilité de alors que des airports là, les organes, ça fait des kilomètres. Mais il y a que ce pays, il y a un peu de là. Ce qui fait que nous disons que les organes, par exemple, nous avons la réponse. Il est pour des sujets qui sont au-dessus. Nous faisons tout de l'arrivée de 4 organes. Des mots par exemple, cap de Monac, qui n'a pas dit, c'est comme ça. Je suis mal, mais pour l'arrière à pied. Si vous dites que vous êtes sud là, ou pour une compagnie sécurité, sécuriser le magasin, sécuriser les visiteurs, c'est où vous voulez. Quand vous avez si vous voulez, vous voulez, je dis, mais jamais. Vous voulez, les gars, à frise, vous voulez, ok, quand vous voulez, vous voulez, vous et on va répéter. On va répéter, dès que nous répétons, qu'est-ce que c'est?
Après la police fait Potémouya, en plus révélation sortie et surtout chef coalition de l'enseignement Jimmy a dit à son barbecue démonté le fait qu'il peut être monsieur Sapali comme quoi c'est un massacre que le gouvernement à travers l'unité et sécurité il parlait de présence tout le monde se dynamique de population qui tourne pour le monde de population carrière ou visible face à la situation ça. Je peux vous connaître dans la minute ce qui s'est passé à soir 24 décembre pour le 25 décembre à travers une opération qui la police ensemble avec tout le gouvernement pour tout aller et un pile de la terre à pile il y a un pile multiple et surtout un pile pour révélation en fait sur quantité de monde qui t'a tombé et surtout un pile bandit dans la zone ça. Mais c'est à travers tout bagage ça que un pile qui n'a pas ensemble et bien il commencé à dénoncer Goun et un pile membre de la population avec quoi c'est que monsieur continue à plaindre comme ça. Mais ça va dire pousser le gouvernement continuer à utiliser le gouvernement pour donner des résultats. Dans la même cause de ça, il y a des gens qui ont des opinions qui sont différentes. Il y a des gens qui estiment que le gouvernement doit gagner plus sans valeur et surtout il continuer mettre en valeur dans la guidoune. Malgré qu'il y a des gens qui ne sont pas d'accord avec la façon dont ils utilisent là, parce qu'il y a des informations qui ont fait connaître, il y a un peu de victime dans la population. Et une raison qui fait évoquer ça, c'est par rapport avec ça qui est arrivé dans la base du marque, côté dans la fête, mais si ça va faire, depuis dans tout ce monde, et ce que les gens ont été intimidés de la vie. Et c'est dans ce sens ça, il y a une faut bien une gestion dans question de par rapport à comment on a utilisé de façon de la vie. Et donc, en termes de résultats, il va y avoir un résultat parce qu'il a déjà mis en tombé dans diverses endroits qui espace sur le côté et il ne dit. Et bien, c'est dans ce sens ça que bien chef coalition Rassemblement, bien Jimmy Cherizier, alias Barbecue, bien qui dit parler d'une intervention, bien dernière intervention de la police qui fait face avec bandits qui permettent un peu la dérocation tombée. Et bien, monsieur ça, il parle là, il fait connaître, il fait pour réunion déjà entre eux, il a parlé du chef qui n'a pas ensemble, et bien, il connaît ça qui va être tout là, mais il y a une possibilité là, pour la pour mal équiper ce pays. Mais c'est ça fait population de vigilant et surtout autorité à travers la police, ils doivent capable de finaliser l'opération. C'est ça, un peu le monde souvent en plein, parce que la police par exemple en mesure de finaliser l'opération, c'est commencé mais il n'est pas fini. Mais c'est dans ça qui fait dossier nutrient, mais pendant la fin d'année là, il continue à chauffer. À chauffer par rapport à ça avec un petit problème qui vient et surtout capable de trouver un peu de jeunes filles et surtout un peu de jeunes garçons qui victiment maintenant des attaques que la police fait. Et la police fait un coup sans attendre parce que dans le moment où c'est là, c'est le moment où le monsieur qui n'a pas eu 24 25 décembre, pas bien là dedans qui peut imaginer que c'était dans le moment ça même que le gouvernement va décider la Liboune. Ça attendait à la résultat bail, mais d'après révélation et surtout déclaration de Jimmy Cherizier, mais c'est pas un peu pour ça. Pas oublier, premier lancement de l'Union, bien première fois en pile dans la population qui fait connaître ça avec elle, mais c'était une attaque que la police a fait à travers l'Union sous barbecue qui était fait dans Badelma. Bien plus passé 15 ans, génération qui était tombée. Mais tu même bien des rumeurs qui t'a fait connaître barbecue qui sont tout. Et après ça, même barbecue ça, et bien, il va pour la presse pour parler. Et il te déclaré, et bien, c'est 15 innocents qui mourent. Ça veut dire, à chaque fois que le gouvernement fait frappe, et bien, dans le souvent, à passer une bêtise, comme quoi, il ne pas jamais bien c'est population. Et c'est ça que fait des gens qui croient qu'ils sont capables d'arriver dans un moment pour ne pas manipuler la population pour dire que oui, il y a un membre de la population qui est victime parce que jour souvent servi avec la population comme bouclier et surtout si tu gagnes des attaques offensives pour possibilité pour gagner dommages collatéraux, c'est ça que il parle nécessaire. Le dossier, nous qui avons toujours des dossiers fragiles, un dossier sensible pour dire un peu l'image culturelle, un peu pour révélation à faire sur le côté de ça et surtout un peu le premier dans la base de monsieur pour qu'il n'y ait pas d'attendre qui si lui-même qui a ça dans la d'année. Et pas oublier, parmi les soldats qui sont des des boss qui sont pour tout le monde surtout dans ensemble, une américaine qui est très proche avec les jeux de la Ligue et c'est lui-même qui perdit la ville et bien des révélations qui peut connaître mais basé sur le même qui est à la base de l'équipe dans le commissariat cabaret de ça qui dit monsieur il longtemps depuis à opérer et bien typiquement monsieur Taléria et ses sociaux et surtout monsieur qui a eu une chef puissant donc ensemble c'est le même qui à la tête du placé soldat ça au niveau de l'unité et d'après information et bien c'est beaucoup de ça comme ça ça fait plusieurs mois depuis que des rumeurs qui pas connaître lui perdu la vie dans sa vie tête là depuis tout ça a retourné sur le rapport et tout le monde a confirmé qu'il est bien présent. Et selon les vidéos, il prend un gros frappe pendant la dernière opération de la police terminée parce que de nous montrer qu'il y a un pile dans soldats et ces soldats c'est lui-même qui place ça. En tout cas, monsieur Papiti, il va s'en prendre coup. Mouvement agir en il continue à bailler monsieur tout et surtout il y a plein mais il y a un pile rapport et surtout un pile de là qu'après la rue comme quoi tu as gagné plus petit 30 à 40 bandits qui t'a tombé dans des frappes quand monsieur était fait sous l'île qui dans zone Titaïn côté de la vie plusieurs qui a pris on dit faut quand question ça continuer et si vous allez comme ça il y a une possibilité que des gens pas fait partie de coalition pour la simple raison que côté de la guide et bien c'est sécurité espace public et on parle d'espace public c'est une activité monsieur souvent fait activité comme carnaval comme un programme et surtout dans fête parce que si on analyse bien une fois ils ont dit la guide de Capal c'était un moment monsieur t'a organisé un carnaval pour Carrefour et bien c'est pendant monsieur a préparé pour aller sous chat etc. Et bien à travers un gouvernement qui vient de faire Alexis et d'ailleurs de lui montrer c'est lui-même cap prend décision dans la question de blanc et bien il fait yon côté bourri sous village de Dieu et bien c'est pendant il t'a organisé carnaval pour Carrefour et bien ils ont frappé il a fait vidéo pour montrer côté il était gagné un petit blessé dans la figure mais c'était pour première fois monsieur ça li pral frappe drone et bien après ça la police ça pral continuer avec un mouvement dedans et bien c'est un mouvement qui mettait la Pérez qui mettait coup qui sauté dans monsieur yo pédonant et bien c'est ça fait population arrêter quoi si gain volonté si gain continuité surtout et bien gain possibilité pour gagner pour résultat en tout cas n'a pas comment ça va passer et dans le moment où on parle là c'est groupe qui vient en base monsieur après pour frappe par la police qui fait soumis qui la cause en pile bandit perdu la vie de l'autre côté amis internet dossier barrette là chauffé J'appelle nous connaît là dans jour qui se passe la police santé mené gros opération dans base la mort 100 jours et dans cadre opération ça il était gain présence mercenaire sans ne pas oublier la police santé mettait qui la terre hélicoptère qui là sans qui va permettre que la police rive récupérer et bien yon paraître qui te fait un pile parler et selon élément information yo et bien un citoyen là et bien c'est lui-même qui était à la base ou qui était à l'acheter matériel ça et matériel ça fait un peu parler d'ailleurs la mot sans j'ai parlé de ça et que l'État même fait connaître et bien et puis les États-Unis récupérer barrette là l'État haïtien bail c'est un peu parler et bien nous va pas trop prendre il va faut entendre plus de détails de dossier barrette ça de dossier d'actualité de dossier qui chauffe c'est parti cause qui vient de barrette ça.
Nous parlons directement dans l'actualité. Eh bien, nous connaissons que c'est la police qui nous-mêmes qui marre un photo là qui vont acheter par radio et bien pour le mot 100 jours. Eh bien, information, eh bien, via un certain Sinana, eh bien, qui est business Peladé à 1000 balais. Jacques, Gérige et Pierre, eh bien, c'est dans ça, ils joignent États-Unis qui a acheté par radio. Eh bien, quand il y a un peu de monde qui dit, il y a pas de policiers qui dans le commissariat, dans la prison, qui ont bien compris comme ça, et ils ont demandé pour malgré monsieur, pour ne pas jamais faire ça encore. Eh bien, chaque matin, eh bien, ça se dit, eh bien, depuis notre minutes, eh bien, il faut arriver à Eh bien, nous pouvons regarder Jacques et Jerry Pierre, eh bien, ils ont interpellé par la police pour trafic d'armes à feu Salomon, eh bien, nous pensons que ça a un gros coup. Et bandit ça que nous connaissons, c'est lui-même qui l'a acheté, il barrette tout le mot 100 jours. Et bien, monsieur, il n'y a pas qu'à porter des armes, et bien, pour tous les policiers, nous, et bien, et côté que ces populations, lui-même dépouillées, et bien, et Salomon, nous pensons que ça a son gros dossier, Jacques, Jerry Pierre, interpellé par la police pour trafic d'armes à feu Salomon.
Bon, et Padel, et quand on a parlé de ça, Jacques Jerry Pierre, et normalement, il était arrêté. Pour qu'on sache, il y a un problème, oui, je ne peux pas
A judge attacked in a Nevada courtroom. A judge attacked in a Nevada courtroom. A judge attacked in a Nevada courtroom.
Justice is blind, they said. But what if she was paid to look away? On May 8, 2025, at 4:47 a.m., federal agents surrounded a quiet residential street in Phoenix, Arizona. The target wasn't a cartel safe house. It wasn't a warehouse or a stash location. It was the home of a federal judge. Inside her garage, beneath the concrete, a tunnel stretched 2 miles into the desert, and at the other end, 127 missing persons cases, all closed, all signed by the same hand. This wasn't justice. This was the auction block wearing a robe. The revelation sent shockwaves through the nation. A judge sworn to uphold the law, instead enabling human trafficking. Victims vanished, cases dismissed, lives sold for bribes. The system corrupted from within. The investigation began 4 months earlier with a question no one wanted to ask. A young woman, 22 years old, casino cocktail server, vanished after her shift on January 14th. Her mother filed a missing persons report at 6 a.m. the next morning. By 6:47 a.m., the case was closed. Status: voluntary departure. No investigation, no interviews, no search. Just a signature: Judge Amina Osman. But here's what the FBI didn't know yet. She wasn't the first. In the past 18 months, 23 women had disappeared within a 5-mile radius of 3 casinos, all between ages 18 and 26, all employed in service positions, and all 23 cases closed within hours. Same signature, same status, same lie. Special Agent Marcus Chen sat in a fluorescent-lit office in Quantico, staring at a pattern that shouldn't exist. The statistical probability of 23 voluntary disappearances in one jurisdiction, all closed by the same judge, was 0.0000002%. This wasn't coincidence. This was a signature. And when the DEA cross-referenced those dates with seized CJNG communications, 3 letters appeared in encrypted messages: TGK, the gatekeeper. It started as a whisper in the intelligence community. Missing women reports piling up in Phoenix, but cases vanishing like smoke. Agent Chen dug deeper. He pulled court records, cross-checked with immigration data, cartel intercepts. Judge Osman, 48, appointed to the federal bench in 2018. Spotless record. Humanitarian awards for refugee work, but her rulings on trafficking cases? 98% dismissed on technicalities. Chen's team ran financials. Offshore accounts in the Caymans. 2.7 million wired over 18 months. Senders: shell companies linked to Cartel Jalisco, Nueva Generacion. The casinos? Owned by CJNG fronts. Women lured with job offers, then trafficked through Osman's court cases, closed to cover the tracks. At 4:47 a.m. on May 8, 2025, agents surrounded Osman's Phoenix home. No sirens, just shadows moving in. They breached, found her in the study, shredding documents. You're under arrest for conspiracy, trafficking, and corruption. But the garage held the horror. A hidden door, concrete floor lifted, revealing a tunnel stretching 2 miles into the desert. At the end, a bunker. 27 women, chained, waiting for shipment. 127 missing cases closed by Osman. All leads to CJNG auctions. This wasn't justice. This was the system selling souls. The gatekeeper had fallen. At 2:15 p.m. on March 3rd, an FBI forensic accountant named Sarah Voss opened Judge Osman's financial records. What she found made her hands shake. $847,000 in wire transfers over 14 months, routed through 4 shell companies, all linked to casino procurement contracts. But Judge Osman had no business relationships with casinos. She had something better: jurisdiction over trafficking cases. The team built a timeline. The 12th of January 2024, young woman disappears near Desert Moon Casino. Case closed same day. The 13th of January 2024, wire transfer, $38,000. Source: Sonoran Hospitality LLC. The 8th of February 2024, Another disappearance, another closure, another payment. The pattern repeated 19 times. But the real breakthrough came from an ICE raid in Nogales on March 29th. Agents seized a laptop from a cartel logistics coordinator. Inside, shipping schedules, routes, and a list of names under the heading Protección del Norte. Protection of the North. Judge Amina Osman's name was third on the list. And below it, a notation in Spanish. Puerta siempre abierta. The door is always open. On April 4th, surveillance teams positioned cameras on Judge Osman's home. For 3 weeks, they watched. Routine life, court appearances, grocery runs. But on April 23rd, at 11:43 p.m., a black SUV with no license plates pulled into her driveway. The garage door opened. The vehicle entered. 15 minutes later, it exited. The thermal imaging showed something else. The garage floor was warmer than the surrounding concrete by 4.7 degrees. Something was beneath it, something moving heat. At 3:50 a.m. on May 7th, ground-penetrating radar confirmed it. A tunnel, 8 feet wide, reinforced concrete walls, stretching southwest toward the Sonoran Desert. And at 4:03 a.m., the operational order was signed. 14 federal teams, 14 locations, one mission, tear down the gate. Sarah Voss didn't stop at the transfers. She traced the shell companies back to their origins. Sonoran Hospitality LLC, registered in Delaware, but owned by a holding company in Mexico City. Bank records showed outflows matching inflows to Osman's personal accounts. The casinos Desert Moon, Golden Sands, and Rio Vista were known CJNG money laundering fronts. Voss pulled gaming commission reports. All three had skyrocketing revenues, but minimal tax payments. Audits flagged, but cases dismissed. By whom? Judge Osman. The team expanded the scope. They subpoenaed Osman's court records. 287 trafficking cases in 18 months. Dismissal rate, 94%. National average, 27%. One case stood out. A 19-year-old Honduran woman arrested at Desert Moon for solicitation. Evidence solid. Eyewitnesses. Video. Osman dismissed on procedural error, missing timestamp on arrest report. That woman vanished 2 days later. Case closed as voluntary departure. Voss correlated disappearances with court dates. Perfect match. Women targeted at casinos, arrested on minor charges, cases dismissed, then abducted through the tunnel. The Nogales laptop yielded more. Emails to Osman. Next shipment ready. Ensure clearance. Decrypted files listed victims, names, ages, value assessments. One entry, female, 22, casino server, high value $40,000. CJNG sold them north. Sex trafficking rings in Vegas, labor camps in California farms, domestic servitude in affluent Phoenix homes. Surveillance intensified. Drones over Osman's property caught heat signatures under the garage ventilation from the tunnel. Ground-penetrating radar mapped it. 2 miles long, electrified, ventilated, with rail carts for transport. Built by cartel engineers, likely over years. The FBI coordinated with DEA. CJNG intercepts mentioned the gatekeeper Osman's code name, payments for judicial services. Undercover buys at casinos confirmed. Women scouted by recruiters, lured with drinks, then vanished. One informant, a bartender, whispered, "They take the pretty ones. Judge fixes the rest." By May, evidence was overwhelming. Financial trails, communications, victim patterns. Operational order. Simultaneous raids on Osman's home, casinos, tunnel exit in the desert. 14 teams, SWAT, K, 9 units, human trafficking specialists. The gate would fall. Osman's empire unraveled.
You're going to tell him for that because he turned off the before. Okay. You shot her. There's no cameras in here. You shot her. She got inside. He has just opened the door, admitting that he hasn't told the cops everything for fear of the consequences. Did she actually start? Was that why you shoot her? She is honest. He's on the spot. What they would have was knocked off the bed. I was just making that the drugs. There was like a there's something like this. She finds
Search work from home jobs at monster.com.
thread by thread.
Are injured, and among them
didn't exist, and then a whistleblower published it, showing that indeed the FBI had.
It's over until a digital ping cuts through the noise. Command uplink lost. The Rivet Joint's main feed goes dark. No video, no data, just dead silence.
are injured, and among them, we are learning this evening, is a youth player with the French soccer club FC Metz, Tahiris Dos Santos, 19 years old. The club says he was severely burned and was airlifted to Germany, where he is currently receiving treatment.
Yeah, just from the videos, you have to imagine there are a lot of young people that were in that bar. I know it's put a strain on local hospitals too, Danielle, right?
Yeah, I mean, local hospitals were absolutely overwhelmed. So many of them had to be airlifted to other hospitals in the country, in Lausanne, Zurich, for example, and some were taken to other countries. But as well, officials have told people to be vigilant and be cautious in the next few days, not to overwhelm emergency services and the hospitals where the burns units are filled now with those who escaped, those who survived, rather, that fire last night in the bar behind me.
All right, Danielle Hamemjian, thank you for being on the scene there. Thank you. Back here at home, another round of winter weather causing big problems on both coasts. In California, flash flooding and heavy rains drenching Rose Parade festivities, while parts of the Northeast and the Midwest dealing with more snow and freezing cold temperatures. NBC's Maggie Vespa is tracking all of that for us.
From relentless whiteouts and wrecked semis in Pennsylvania to cars swallowed by flash floods in San Diego, the new year bringing new rounds of wild weather to both coasts. San Diego Fire clocking more than 10 swift water rescues by midday as multiple rivers and creeks rose. And look at this.
What is bro doing?
This driver testing fate, driving through water up to their windshield. Crowds at the famed Rose Parade drenched.
Oh, we're soaked to the bone.
NBC Los Angeles' Lauren Coronado was there.
It's a rare sight here in Pasadena. Rain on the Rose Parade for the first time in 20 years. Officials are watching closely, worried the saturated soil could trigger mud and debris flows at nearby burn scars.
Meanwhile, out east, heavy snow hammering the Great Lakes region. A semi jackknifed amid a snow squall in Pennsylvania. This car in Philadelphia found on its side after seemingly crashing into that light pole. Drivers sliding down this icy hill.
Now I see this whole hill is a sheet of ice. I don't know why everybody's going up right now because they're going to get stuck.
Parts of western New York getting as much as 20 inches of snow this week. The Buffalo Bills asking fans to help clear Highmark Stadium. Mother Nature delivering a volatile start to 2026, coast to coast.
Meanwhile, much of the Midwest still caught in Mother Nature's icy grip, with temperatures here in Chicago set to remain below freezing through the weekend. Kate.
Yeah, it looks a little chilly. Maggie, thank you. Let's get right to NBC Chicago meteorologist Kevin Jeans, who joins us here in New York. Kevin, thanks for being with us. More rain on the way for those folks out west?
Yeah, happy to be here. We have more rain. It's a break for now, at least across Southern California, Kate, but the rain's going to come back this weekend, and the ground is already soaked from all the rain that really has just been relentless over the last week. Heavy rain does continue in Northern California this evening. It winds down overnight. We get a little break tomorrow. Another storm system impacts the West Coast. Heavy rain, high elevation snow again throughout the day tomorrow and into Saturday and Sunday. Rain picks back up across Southern California as we get into the day Saturday and even ending the weekend. More heavy rain and high elevation mountain snow. Northern California through the weekend could see an additional 5, even 6+ inches of rain, 1 to 2 inches across Southern California, Kate.
And how about the East Coast? How much more snow can people expect this weekend?
That lake effect really hasn't slowed down over the last week either. So more lake effect snow on the eastern side of the Great Lakes. But I also want to point out this storm system that'll be quickly moving across the southeast. There could be damaging wind gusts and even a marginal risk of some severe weather that would be overnight into Saturday morning and Saturday afternoon. But that exits quickly. The lake effect, however, across the Northeast, that continues through the weekend. Here we are through Sunday. So more low visibility chances, gusty winds coming off the Great Lakes, Lake Erie, and across upstate New York, you're still looking at snow totals, maybe 8+ inches of snow. So this weekend, Saturday, storms across the southeast. The middle of the country warms up across the plains again by Sunday, close to record highs. That warmth will spread across just about all of the lower 48 as we head into the second week of January. Warm conditions in the middle of the month, Kate.
I mean, that might be a nice break for people. Kevin Jeans.
We'll take it.
Kevin, thanks so much. Next tonight, good news for holiday travelers hitting the road after New Year's celebrations. Gas prices are down to a 4-year low, with the national average dipping well below $3, according to AAA. This coming as we're also seeing a drop in the cost of airline tickets. Let's bring in NBC's Christine Romans for more on all of this. Christine, this sounds all good news here. It's great news for drivers. Where are we seeing the best gas prices?
Iowa and Colorado and Texas, really kind of the South and the Midwest are where the prices are the best. And overall, the national average down something like 17 or 18 cents over the last month. So people are really noticing it. It was the cheapest holiday season to travel in about 4 years. And experts are telling us they expect January and February to be pretty good for gas prices as well. So this is a bit of a relief in a story that's, people concerned about rising prices.
I have to say, I noticed it at a gas station in Pennsylvania when I was coming home from my parents. I was like, wait, it's okay. We also saw a 5% dip. Is that right, in airfare prices in November? So should people be buying right now?
Well, the second largest cost for the airlines is fuel. And if you're looking at 2026, when fuel prices are going to be drifting here to $3 a gallon for drivers and maybe jet fuel prices will be down, that should be good news for the airlines. But they have other prices that are rising. So we expect that airfares will probably be flat this year in 2026. And that's after having a pretty good end of the year in 2025. What the experts tell us is still competition is king for the airlines, so keep an eye out for those last-minute fare deals. You might see those again this year.
Okay, maybe right now is the time to start looking for the summer trips.
Start looking around,
So as we head into this, we're in this new year. I can't get used to it. It's 2026 already. Can people anticipate these two trends? The gas prices down, the plane tickets lower. Can we hopefully anticipate that?
The feeling is the gas prices trend is something that we're hoping stays for most of the year. Borrowing any kind of refinery problems, you usually see gas prices rise heading into the summer. That's the summer driving season when they have to rejigger kind of the formulation for gasoline. At least for the first part of the year, we think it's going to remain pretty good and probably noticeable on your family budget. When you're talking about 17, 18 cents a gallon just in the last month, when you talk about a 15, 18-gallon tank, that's meaningful savings.
Christine Romans.
Great to see you.
Great to see you. Happy New Year.
Thank
you. Well, now to West Palm Beach, where President Trump spent part of New Year's Day at his golf club. But tonight, the president giving a rare glimpse into his health with his most revealing public comments about the issue, including why he's not always following his doctor's advice. NBC News White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez reports from West Palm Beach tonight.
After ringing in the new year at his annual glitzy gala, President Trump, who will turn 80 in June, is opening up about his health in a new interview published today in the Wall Street Journal. With images of his bruised hands covered in makeup going viral, the president says it's due to him taking 325 milligrams of aspirin a day, adding he's ignored doctors' recommendations to lower that dosage because he's superstitious. They say aspirin is good for thinning out the blood, and I don't want thick blood pouring through my heart, he says. I want nice, thin blood pouring through my heart. Trump downplaying to the Journal an incident during the 2024 Republican National Convention when his current Attorney General Pam Bondi nicked his hand with her ring, causing him to bleed. Trump calling it a slight little cut. He also now says the MRI he got in October
I got an MRI, it was perfect.
Was actually a CT scan, and that he regrets getting it because it's given his critics an opening. In retrospect, it's too bad I took it because it gave them a little ammunition, he tells the Journal.
I think I'm sharper than I was 25 years ago.
The president says he briefly tried wearing compression socks to treat ankle swelling, but didn't like them. He calls any exercise other than golf boring. And as for recent images of him appearing to doze at White House events, Trump denies falling asleep and instead suggests photographers catch him blinking.
And Gabe joins us now from West Palm Beach, Florida, where the president is. Gabe, we also heard from the president's physician today about the results of that CT scan, yeah?
Yes, Kate. The doctor says the CT scan was, quote, perfectly normal and revealed absolutely no abnormalities, adding that the president's cardiovascular health puts him 14 years younger than his age, according to that doctor. Now, Trump spent much of the day here at his golf course in West Palm Beach, Kate.
Right, which is not boring, according to him. Gabe, any explanation why the president said that he'd had an MRI? Why did it take so long to clear up that discrepancy, MRI versus CT scan?
Well, Kate, I'm having a little trouble hearing you, but the part of the reason that the White House hasn't clarified why it took so long to correct the record here. The president for the last several months has been saying that he actually underwent an MRI that is more detailed and typically more serious than a CT scan. Today, the president's physician said that the president was given the option to either take an MRI or a CT scan as part of his routine physical, and that his team actually went ahead with the CT scan. But Kate, again, the White House has not clarified why it took so long to clarify the record.
Okay. Gabe Gutierrez, thank you. Heading overseas now to Iran. Dramatic images showing protesters taking to the streets, furious with the government's handling of the economy and the skyrocketing cost of living. Those clashes with police tonight have now turned deadly. NBC's Garrett Hake has this one.
Tonight, tense clashes between protesters and security forces in Iran now turning deadly, with at least 3 people killed and 17 injured at a protest today, according to a semi-official state news agency. The demonstrations have been escalating for days, sparked by worsening economic conditions in the country. Cost of living is high, inflation is soaring, and Iran's currency recently crashed to a record low against the dollar. This video shows a protester sitting in the street, appearing to defy officers, leading some online to draw comparisons to this image from Tiananmen Square. While in Tehran, a number of shopkeepers closed their doors in protest earlier this week. They appear to be the biggest demonstrations in the country since 2022, when mass protests erupted over the death of Mahsa Amini. The 22-year-old died in police custody after she was arrested for not properly wearing a hijab. The latest unrest comes amid a period of heightened tension between Iran and the West. The Iranian president recently said his country is, quote, engaged in a full-scale war with the U.S., Israel, and Europe. And earlier this week, President Trump issued this stark warning to Iran over its nuclear program.
I hear that Iran is trying to build up again, and if they are, we're going to have to knock them down.
Dozens of protesters have been arrested. The State Department tonight saying demonstrators are facing, quote, intimidation and violence from Iran's government and is calling on the crackdown to end. Kate?
Garrett Hake for us. Garrett, thank you. We are back in a moment with video from an investigation into an alleged hazing incident at a Florida fire department. A 19-year-old rookie saying he was bullied and waterboarded, what we're learning. Plus, the new study about routine mammograms and how they could reveal hidden signs of heart problems, what you need to know. And the daring rescue, a group left stranded and clinging to their boat as it dangled, look at that, on the edge of a dam more than 100 feet high. How crews finally pulled them to safety. That's ahead on Top Story. We're back now with an investigation into an alleged hazing incident involving firefighters in Florida. A 19-year-old man says he was bullied, beaten, even waterboarded by his peers. NBC's George Solis has more.
I don't want my merch anymore. Disturbing moments caught on camera of what authorities are calling part of a violent hazing incident, including waterboarding at a North Central Florida firehouse. I don't want my merch anymore. The Marion County Sheriff's Office releasing this edited video and a slew of others as part of an investigation into the alleged assault of the 19-year-old firefighter that took place last month. I don't want my merch anymore. In the clip, the rookie firefighter, who authorities say was being restrained by a fellow first responder, is saying he no longer wants merch or merchandise from the firehouse.
The whole thing began because the 4 individuals at the firehouse wanted a video from TikTok that the victim had. They chased him down in the parking lot.
The sheriff's office releasing video of the victim's interview with investigators, detailing the attack and what he says the video doesn't show.
One came behind me and held my arms and then dragged me over to kind of the concrete in front of the bay. Took my belt off and started hitting me with it.
Authorities say this clip comes from Kaylee Bradley, one of the 4 employees accused of taking part in the assault.
A small group of employees treated the firehouse like a frat house.
According to investigators, Bradley had more videos on her phone that she deleted. This video, she told them, is the one she chose to keep.
I just felt like this was going to become something, and then I didn't want to get in trouble for deleting anything.
Bradley, emotional at times, saying she thought the incident was just horseplay.
I thought that they were friends. This is something they've done a million times. I thought that they were friends. They told him to stop and they didn't stop. I've only been there a month.
Okay.
This is like a daily occurrence.
Also telling detectives it was not a one-off.
And when you say, it's a daily occurrence, this is the first time that anyone's ever been beat with a belt and, essentially waterboarded.
No, it's not.
Bradley faces charges of robbery in connection with the incident. Firefighters Tate Trouthwine, Edward Kenny, and Seth Day all face charges of kidnapping, robbery, and battery. All 4 have pled not guilty. NBC News has reached out to the 4, Trouthwine telling us, "I cannot comment on anything yet, possibly in the future."
And George Solis joins us now from Miami. George, what more can you tell us about the status of the investigation into what actually happened?
Yeah, Kate, it's comprehensive. In total, 10 firefighters, including some leadership there at that firehouse, have been fired as this investigation continues to be ongoing. Now, when this all happened, the victim in all of this was asked whether or not he wanted to stay at this firehouse. He told them then that he did want to stay because he, quote, has a job to do. Kate.
All right, George Solis for us. George, thank you. Now to the desperate search for a 5-year-old boy in Alabama who authorities believe might be in danger. Jonathan Boley was last seen yesterday in Jasper around 11:30 in the morning and was reported missing by his father, according to the local sheriff. But that father is now in custody after police say they found explosive devices on the property. Priscilla Thompson joins us now with the latest on the search. So, Priscilla, what more do we know about Jonathan and how he went missing?
Yeah, Kate. So we know, according to the father, that 5-year-old Jonathan was staying with him. This was part of his visitation for 5 days. And according to the father, he saw him around midday yesterday, and then he and his older brother were playing. And the older brother, who was only 6 years old, came in and told the father that the 5-year-old Jonathan had gone into the woods with the black Labrador retriever, the dog that they had. And shortly thereafter, we know that the father ended up reporting Jonathan missing to police. We also know that at this point, police say they are very concerned because they have been searching since yesterday and have so far not been able to find this young boy. I want to play a little bit of what the sheriff had to say about this urgent search.
We've been going on now well over 24 hours of looking for the child, and we have not gotten really any indication of the child being in the woods. We've got no thermal, no imagery from the helicopter and drones. Ground searches hasn't revealed anything to my knowledge.
And so right now, that black dog and also the 5-year-old boy remain missing. Police say that the boy was last seen in a yellow Mickey Mouse shirt along with shoes that had Paw Patrol on them. Kate?
Let's back up a little bit here, Priscilla. What do we know about these explosive devices at the father's property and any connection between that and the search?
Yeah, so police say that there were at least 8 explosive devices so far that have been found on the property. The father has been arrested and charged related to those explosives, but police say that that has nothing to do with the disappearance of 5-year-old Jonathan or the search, but I should say it is hindering the search according to police, and that is because they have had investigators but also volunteers out there trying to help with this search, and they actually had to clear folks out of the woods because they were finding these devices, and so the FBI had to come in and comb through and ensure that these devices were not charged, which so far everything that they have found has not been charged. And so a bit of good news is that they are going to be allowing volunteers to go back out into the woods tomorrow morning to continue this search as they continue to make sure this property is clear of explosives, but that is certainly complicating this very urgent search to try to find this young boy as he has been missing now for more than 24 hours.
Yeah,
Kate?
Let's hope they find him healthy and well. Priscilla, thank you so much. Still ahead on Top Story, the terrifying scene at Disney's Hollywood Studios. A worker hit by a 400-pound boulder that got loose during an Indiana Jones stunt show. How he put himself in harm's way to protect other people. Plus, Zohran Mamdani sworn in as the next mayor of America's largest city, his message to New Yorkers, and how he plans to transform government. That's next. We're back tonight as New York City welcomes a new mayor to start 2026. Zohran Mamdani making history as the first Muslim mayor of the nation's largest city, officially becoming the 111th leader of New York in a small ceremony held in an abandoned subway station, taking the oath of office just after midnight.
I,
Zohran Kwame Mamdani,
Zohran Kwame Mamdani,
that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of
the office of
the mayor of the city of New York.
The mayor of the city of New York.
And today, Mamdani arriving in a yellow cab to his inauguration outside City Hall. Mamdani giving his first remarks to thousands who came out in freezing temperatures to witness his public swearing into office. The city's youngest mayor in generations with this message to young New Yorkers, to all New Yorkers.
If you are a New Yorker, I am your mayor. Regardless of whether we agree, I will protect you, celebrate with you, mourn alongside you, and never, not for a second, hide from you.
Let's bring in NBC's Stephen Romo, who's been covering Inauguration Day in New York City. I meant to say he's speaking to all New Yorkers, not young, but it's apt because he really did appeal to the younger voters.
Yeah, he certainly did. That's true. And on that point, one of his main points to younger voters, all voters, is affordability, something that many young people got behind, especially with his social media campaigns. And on that front, just a few hours after he had that inauguration event we just heard him speaking at earlier, he issued 3 executive orders and held a press conference about that, all to do with housing. Now, the first one is to revive the mayor's office to protect tenants. Mamdani saying very clearly, if your landlord does not responsibly steward your home, city government will step in. Now, those other 2 orders look at city land that could be used for housing development and cutting red tape that can sometimes slow down construction. And that is in addition to his pledge to freeze rent for these certain rental units in the city. All of these things he's trying to start on day one.
Yeah, interesting that he's using the executive order. That's what President Trump has been so effective using at the national level. One of his biggest promises was fast, free buses in New York City. What steps, if any, did he take on that today?
Yeah, of course, that one got a lot of attention nationwide, free buses. He did take a step that is in that direction. He appointed Michael Flynn as transportation commissioner. Now, Flynn has worked for decades as a consultant and as an official in transportation. Flynn saying New York's transportation department is ready to take on Mamdani's ambitious agenda to improve the bus service for the city, of course, the prices for the bus service, along with speeding up bus service, something we've heard from Mamdani time and time again, the slowness that we experience now in the buses.
Yeah, which people in a lot of cities can probably relate to, right? We also now today saw former New York City Mayor Eric Adams in attendance, right, at the swearing-in, public swearing-in. What do we know about Eric Adams and what's next for him?
Yeah, it was a bit contentious for some of Mamdani's supporters there because, of course, Eric Adams ran against Mamdani in this mayoral race. But when he's been asked about what he's going to do next, we've heard from Eric Adams saying that he plans to write a book. He also plans to go back to school to get his doctorate degree, and that he's been approached about making a documentary, all things that he has on his horizon. He was asked back in October, interestingly, what was next for him, and he actually said, I hope you guys didn't think I was just going to disappear. So I think it's safe to say we have not seen the last of Eric Adams.
Interesting. All right, Stephen, thank you so much for following it all day today. Appreciate you. Now to Top Stories news feed, starting with a Ukrainian drone strike that Russia claims killed 24 people and hurt 50 others. It happened today in a Russian-occupied village in Ukraine's Kherson region. Ukrainian officials have yet to comment publicly about the attack, but it comes as tensions between the two countries continue to rise despite those ongoing peace talks. Terrifying video out of South Africa showing 4 men stranded in a river right on the edge of a 130-foot dam. Look at this shot. You can see the group clinging to the boat as water rushes over the wall. It was nighttime by the time rescue crews pulled them to safety. Emergency workers say nobody was hurt and that it appears the boat might have had a mechanical issue. Here in the U.S., the Coast Guard is searching for a 77-year-old woman who went overboard today on a cruise ship. Officials say she was on a Holland America ship when she fell into the water roughly 40 miles off the coast of Cuba. The cruise line says it is assisting with that search. And a Disney worker is recovering after getting hit by a 400-pound boulder. It was a stunt boulder that got loose during an Indiana Jones-themed show. You see the massive rubber ball tumbling down, the employee putting out his arms, appearing to try to shield guests from it before getting knocked over by the runaway prop. A Disney spokesperson says they are investigating what happened. And the Washington Monument has a new look. The iconic landmark in D.C. lit up overnight. Watch this, with patriotic projections. It's all part of a project announced by President Trump to celebrate America's 250th birthday this year. The display is set to run every night through January 5th. Now to Top Stories Health Check and the new push to use mammograms not just to detect breast cancer, but to catch early warning signs of heart disease. Emily Ikeda has this.
When Nancy Preston went for her annual mammogram in New York City, she never could have imagined the life-threatening diagnosis it would lead to. Not breast cancer.
One of my main arteries was 70% blocked.
But an imminent risk of a heart attack.
I was in complete shock. I did not have symptoms except for feeling a little more fatigued than usual, which I attributed to age.
The 67-year-old's mammogram and ultrasound revealed calcium buildups within Nancy's breast arteries, something emerging research has linked to heart disease.
She only had a little bit, but that little bit was incredibly significant for her.
Radiologist Dr. Lori Margulies is running a study at Mount Sinai that notifies patients like Nancy of breast arterial calcification, or BAC.
The breast radiologist may be the first person to have the clue that there is a potential for something wrong with cardiovascular disease.
As was the case for Nancy, a yoga instructor and healthy eater.
It wasn't until I got that letter about my BAC that a little bell went off in my head saying, my mom, my sister, maybe I should look into this.
Given her family history of heart disease and the imaging, she followed up with a cardiologist.
Yes. She had 4 blockages in her arteries. And so I called the cardiothoracic surgeon, and he examined her and scheduled open heart surgery.
Both doctors say breast arterial calcification on a mammogram should be added to the list of known risks for heart disease, the leading cause of death for women. But a big hurdle is that BAC is often not included in mammogram reports.
I recommend that all women having mammograms ask for their breast arterial calcification results.
Because for Nancy, now recovering from quintuple bypass surgery, it made all the difference.
I feel very fortunate that this happened because I really think it saved my life.
And Emily Ikeda joins us on set. This is so interesting. So if you have a mammogram and calcification is found, what do you do next?
Okay, that's just the first step, right? For Nancy's case, for instance, she goes then to the cardiologist and she gets a cardiac stress test. Yeah. But some doctors may have different reactions. There's still a lot of outstanding questions around this. So some doctors may not have heard of this, be familiar with it. Some may charge more for BAC when it comes to mammograms. But I think what researchers are really hoping, as we see this growing body of evidence, is that mammograms start sparking conversations around not just breast health, but also heart health.
Yeah, makes sense. Emily Ikeda, thank you so much for that. So interesting. When we come back on this New Year's Day, new laws going into effect across the country. We'll break down the major changes you need to know about, plus why you could soon be seeing a lot more of Betty Boop and Blondie. Those characters, just 2 of the many icons entering the public domain. We'll explain next. We're back tonight with a look at some of the new state laws taking effect around the country this year. They apply to a wide range of issues like social media restrictions for kids, increasing the minimum wage. NBC's Kelly O'Donnell has more.
This new year brings the force of new laws around the country shaping American life. Scrolling time for kids under new restrictions in Virginia.
They like to be on their tablets and watch TV and stuff, and I notice a difference when I limit that.
Starting today, social media companies are required to screen users by age and then cap Virginia kids under 16 at 1 hour a day for each service or platform. The new law facing skeptics.
Kids are not stupid. Kids are smart. They're going to get around this.
While some experts say limits are needed.
It's a digital highway without any seatbelts. Okay? So we really have to be intentional.
From social media to heated social issues. In North Carolina, a new law bars state funds for gender transition surgery and permits lawsuits against medical providers. Texas is blocking diversity, equity, and inclusion programs for public schools, kindergarten to 12th grade. In Washington, lawmakers boosted the state's minimum wage to more than $17 an hour. In fact, starting today, 19 states across the country will see minimum wage increases. And Delaware is starting a new program to permit incarcerated mothers to send breast milk to their babies through a designated caretaker. While Illinois adds a new step for gun safety, requiring owners to report a lost or stolen weapon within 48 hours. Kate?
The new year also means a new class of iconic characters and cultural works are entering the public domain. Today, thousands of copyrighted works from 1930, including movies, cartoons, books, and music, enter the U.S. public domain, meaning they are free for everyone to use and share within certain parameters. For more on this, I want to bring in Jennifer Jenkins. She is the director of Duke University Law School's Center for the Study of Public Domain. She has spent countless hours studying these works over the years. Jennifer, thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a delight joining you.
Absolutely. So today is like New Year's Day, but for you, it's a bigger public holiday. It's Public Domain Day, right?
It's both. Yes.
Off the bat, can you explain to our viewers what is the public domain?
The public domain is the realm of material that is no longer not covered by intellectual property rights and therefore is free for everyone to share, to use, to build upon without permission and without fee.
And I want to walk through some of the big names that became public domain today. Let's start with some iconic characters and cartoons. We're talking about Betty Boop, for example.
Yes, the very first version of Betty Boop from the cartoons in 1930. And fun fact, she was initially kind of a hybrid human dog because she was designed to be the girlfriend for the character Bimbo the dog. So she's recognizably Betty Boop, but she has these floppy ears that dance around as she dances. And so that is the Betty Boop that is public domain today.
That's some trivia I never knew before right now.
Right.
Some famous movies are on the list too. What are they?
The Best Picture winner, All Quiet on the Western Front, the great anti-war movie. We've got Soup to Nuts, which was directed by none other than Rube Goldberg, which features Larry and Moe, who would later become famous in The Three Stooges. We have two movies that catapulted Marlene Dietrich to fame, The Blue Angel in German and Morocco. We have Greta Garbo's first talkie, and we have John Wayne's first starring role. And so lots of wonderful movies.
Oh, yeah. And some books are on the list. I was a huge Nancy Drew fan as a kid. I know some of the Nancy Drews are now in the public domain. Walk us through how people might be able to appreciate those books now.
Well, a lot of us, like you said, I was a Nancy Drew fan too. A lot of it will be just revisiting and rediscovering those works again. But what the public domain means is that we can now build on those books. So if you, in your abundant spare time, wanted to write your own Nancy Drew story featuring the brilliant 16-year-old in those first 4 books, you could do that.
And what about music? I know determining the years for music can get a little tricky, right?
Yeah. Well, the copyright law always likes to be a little bit tricky, but the musical compositions, so what you might see on a piece of sheet music, the lyrics and the music, Those works from 1930 are public domain this year, but the sound recordings of the compositions, we're getting sound recordings from 1925 this year.
Okay.
So do you want to hear about some compositions?
Sure.
Some of my favorites. So I Got Rhythm, Embraceable You by George and Ira Gershwin, Dream a Little Dream of Me, which I cannot get out of my head. I've been listening to it. It's amazing. That's public domain. And the song I love, Georgia on My Mind, is public domain today too.
Jennifer, why does this matter ultimately? Why is it so important that these works be free for people to use?
It's part of the design of the copyright system, actually. It's how the copyright system supports creativity. When these works go into the public domain, they join the works of Shakespeare and Mozart and Charles Dickens and Jane Austen, meaning that future creators can use them without having to worry about a lawsuit or track down the copyright owners. And so if you just look at some of the movies from this year, Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, that was based on Mary Kelly's public domain novel, Frankenstein, or Wicked for Good was based on L. Frank Baum's public domain stories. So the reason it's important is that it really allows us all to start our creative engines and build upon these older works. And the ones we just talked about, they're only a tiny sliver of all of the culture that's entering the public domain today. So I'm really excited, actually, about the uses we're not going to see. All the school kids, all the people at home, all the hobbyists who realize that they can now use that material in their own stories. And maybe we won't see about it. Maybe we're not talking about it on NBC News.
Yeah.
But they're out there, and that's a really exciting moment.
I love that. Jennifer Jenkins, I see your passion. Thank you so much.
I'm so passionate.
Appreciate you. Moving overseas now to a savory new project in the works near the summer home of Pope Leo. It's a massive sustainable farming center with a unique farm-to-table restaurant that will give diners a taste of Italian-inspired classics with a little Chicago flair. Our Molly Hunter got a sneak peek.
Nestled in the once secluded Vatican Gardens in the town of Castel Gandolfo, near the historic Papal Summer Palace, there's a new project growing, Borgo Laudato Si. Stretching across 135 acres, it's a sustainable center at its core. Inspired by former Pope Francis's encyclical writings, he first established the initiative back in 2023.
Can you explain the mission of Laudato Si?
You know, Pope Francis was not coming here, so he thought that it was good to start opening the place for the people, just to come here and enjoy the beauty of the gardens.
But it goes beyond beauty. Francis believed in the deep connection between how we take care of the environment and our human social world. Borgo Laudato Si promotes integral ecology.
Putting ideas into practice.